They left my daughter standing in a hospital parking garage with a 7-month-old on her hip and one bag at her feet. No ride, no warning, just a text from my son-in-law saying the locks were changed and she should figure something out. I'm Carl Pierce, 58 years old, and I was 2 blocks away in my pickup when Sarah called me. I could hear baby Sophia fussing in the background and my daughter trying to hold it together. That controlled breathing she'd had since she was little, the kind that meant she was fighting hard not to break down. "Dad," she said, voice shaking. "I'm at Methodist Hospital parking garage. Brian fired me from the clinic. He changed our house locks. I don't know what to do. Stay right where you are," I told her. "Don't move, don't talk to anyone. I'm coming." I pulled into that garage before she even saw me coming. Got out of the truck, and there she was under a flickering overhead light, still in her scrubs from a 12-hour shift. Little Sophia pressed against her chest, one tiny fist wrapped around Sarah's ID badge. There was a cut on my daughter's lip, small, fresh. I didn't ask about it right then. I took the baby, buckled her into the car seat I always kept in the back of my crew cab. Then I looked at Sarah. "Get in the truck, sweetheart." She didn't argue. That scared me more than anything. The drive to my place in the Heights took 18 minutes. Sarah stared out the window the whole way. Sophia fell asleep before we left the garage, her little mouth soft, unaware her world had just exploded. I didn't fill the silence with questions. After 35 years in construction, 20 in the Navy before that, I'd learned that when something breaks, you assess the damage first. Everything else can wait. My housekeeper had the guest room ready by the time we got home. I settled the baby in the portable crib, ran a hot shower for Sarah, laid out clean clothes. When I heard the water running, I walked out to my back deck, opened a beer I didn't drink, and stood looking at the oak tree I'd planted when I bought this house 25 years ago. Just me and a Navy discharge and more determination than anyone had a right to expect from a kid from East Texas who grew up in a single wide. My son-in-law's great-grandfather thought he was Houston medical royalty. Dr. Harold Sinclair, 76 years old, owned the Sinclair Medical Network, or thought he did. Been running those clinics for 30 years, had his picture on the walls, gave interviews about his vision for community healthcare. The old man had no idea I'd been watching his family since the day Sarah brought Brian home for Sunday dinner. Sarah came downstairs an hour later wearing an old Astros t-shirt she'd left here years back. She looked younger in it, fragile in a way that made my chest tight. She sat at my kitchen table, wrapped both hands around the coffee mug I'd made her, and she talked. It started 3 weeks after Sophia was born. Small things first, comments about how Sarah held the baby, whether she was feeding her right, how she managed the house. Her mother-in-law getting louder in every room of that big house on River Oaks Boulevard they'd moved into. The house Dr. Sinclair had given them as a wedding gift. Sarah had been grateful. I'd smiled and said nothing and made 3 phone calls the next Monday. Then came the job at Sinclair Medical. Office manager position, good salary. She'd been proud. Thought she earned it herself. She had, because my daughter's smart and organized and works harder than anyone should have to. But I'd also made sure her resume landed on the right desk through channels so quiet she'd never trace them back to me. I needed to see how they treated her when they thought nobody powerful was watching. Turns out I'd seen enough. Last week, Brian's mother had come to the house while he was at work. There'd been an argument about credit cards Sarah never opened, about purchases she never made. Her mother-in-law had bank statements, items circled in red, accusing Sarah of draining family accounts. Sarah called Brian. He came home, looked at those statements, told Sarah to pack a bag. Didn't ask her side of the story. She said the cut on her lip was from bumping a cabinet door. She said it looking at the table, not at me. I stored that detail where I keep things that matter. I waited until she was asleep. Then I called Tyler Hoffman, the guy who'd handled security issues for my construction crews for 15 years. "Tyler," I said, when he answered, "I need every financial record tied to Sinclair Medical Network. Every payroll account, every vendor contract, every line of credit they've pulled in the last 3 years. I need it in 48 hours. Done." "What else?" "Credit cards showing up in my daughter's name that she didn't open. Find them all." Tyler had worked fraud investigation for Harris County before going private. He understood family business. 2 days later, he showed up at my house with a manila folder. No dramatics, just facts. That's how Tyler operated. 4 credit cards, he said, setting the folder on my kitchen table. All opened in Sarah's name over 18 months. Total balance $52,000. Purchases include home renovations, luxury travel, and cash withdrawals from ATMs near the Galleria. Sarah had never lived near the Galleria. There's more, Tyler continued. He slid a document across the table. Sinclair's payroll got switched to a new processing company 8 months ago. I traced the ownership. Processing company's registered to a shell corporation that traces back to Brian's mother. They'd been skimming payroll through fake vendor accounts. I looked at that document for a long time. When did they start using Sarah's social security number? Tyler checked his notes, 5 months after the wedding. So this wasn't panic or opportunity. This was a plan built slowly using my daughter's trust and access to her personal information. I closed the folder. Pull every credit line on Sinclair's operating accounts today. Tyler's expression didn't change. That'll stop vendor payments within 72 hours, I know. And I'll reach out to Dr. Jennifer Garcia, the medical director. Tell her there's a compliance review coming and she should expect contact from Lone Star Holdings directly. He paused. Lone Star Holdings? The company that owns every lease for every Sinclair medical location in Houston, has for 6 years now. See what Dr. Harold Sinclair didn't know was that when I incorporated Lone Star Holdings through a Delaware trust in 2018, I'd been planning ahead. I'd let him play owner, let him believe he'd built something, given him enough rope to show me exactly who his family was. For 5 years they'd behaved within limits. Not kindly, not generously, but tolerable for people with their attitudes. Then Sarah had Sophia, and the limits disappeared. After Tyler left, I went upstairs to check on my granddaughter. She was awake in her crib, holding her own feet, completely fascinated with herself. I reached down and let her grab my finger. Her grip was strong for someone so small. "Morning, sweetheart," I told her. She made a sound that meant everything and nothing. Sarah appeared in the doorway. "Dad," she said quietly, "Brian called. He wants to discuss custody arrangements." "Already?" He said, "Dr. Sinclair has lawyers." I looked at Sophia, who'd found something interesting about my wedding ring and was studying it like a scientist. So do we. Amanda Wilson had been waiting for my call since 6 a.m. Best family law attorney in Houston, worked her way up from nothing like I had. She'd handled the legal work when I bought my first big property contract 12 years back. She knew how I thought. She arrived at noon, sat at my kitchen table with her legal pad, and listened to Sarah tell her everything. Every comment, every restriction, every night Brian came home with stories that didn't add up. Amanda wrote it all down without interrupting. Then she looked at me. The credit cards, documented, $52,000 opened without consent. Payroll fraud, 3 years of records. Amanda made notes. Then she looked at Sarah. Physical altercation. Sarah's jaw tightened. I walked into a cabinet door. Amanda's pen stopped. She looked at Sarah with patience that doesn't ask twice. A moment passed. He grabbed my arm to stop me from leaving. My face hit the cabinet corner. Amanda wrote that down. "What's been done to you isn't just wrong, it's criminal. Identity theft, wire fraud, domestic assault. We can pursue all of it." She looked at me. "How far do you want to take this?" I looked at Sarah. Something had changed in her shoulders. They weren't curved inward anymore. "All of it," Sarah said. 3 days later, Tyler called from outside Sinclair Medical on Westheimer. "Credit freeze hit this morning. Payroll was due yesterday. Didn't process." His response? "On the phone since 9 a.m. Building manager called twice about lease renewals. I think Dr. Sinclair just realized Lone Star Holdings exists and has opinions about his operation. Has he connected it to me yet? Not yet. He's demanding to speak to Lone Star's owner. Told the building manager he has friends who'll make things difficult for whoever's behind this." I almost smiled. "Tell the building manager no comment. Standard compliance review." That evening Brian called me directly. Smooth voice, trying to sound reasonable while delivering threats. He said the situation had gotten out of hand, that he missed Sarah and Sophia, that his family sometimes said things they didn't mean. He thought if I backed off and let them handle it privately, there was a path forward without lawyers and courts. Then he said, "Dr. Sinclair has a lot of relationships in Houston, Carl, medical relationships, business relationships. A lot of people respect the Sinclair name. It would be unfortunate if things got complicated for your construction business." I held the phone and looked out at my oak tree. "I appreciate the call, Brian. I really do." Pause. "You'll be hearing from my attorney. Have a good evening." I hung up and texted Amanda the time, date, and summary. She replied immediately. "That's attempted coercion. Thank you." Tyler found Jennifer Moore 4 days later. Former billing administrator at the original Sinclair location, fired 18 months back after she'd questioned discrepancies in vendor payments. She met me at my house that afternoon, carrying a canvas bag that said I'd rather be fishing, sat across from me and didn't fidget while I explained about Lone Star Holdings, about the payroll fraud, about the credit cards in Sarah's name. When I finished, she looked at the floor for a moment. The discrepancy I found was $47,000 over 16 months, pulled from patient refund accounts. When I asked about it, Brian told me it was a legacy system from an acquisition. You believed him? I should have pushed harder. I documented everything before they locked me out, though. Been waiting 18 months for someone to ask the right questions. She reached into her bag and pulled out a thick envelope. Time-stamped screenshots, ledger printouts, my complaint to the Texas Medical Board. I took the envelope. How would you like to come back to work at Sinclair Medical? Her expression shifted. Current management won't be there much longer. 3 weeks after finding Sarah in that parking garage, I attended the Houston Healthcare Leadership Awards at the Marriott Marquis. Dr. Harold Sinclair was receiving the Community Service Award, selected by a committee that had no reason to reconsider until I'd sent the chairwoman a brief note 2 days prior. I arrived at 6:45 p.m. carrying nothing but my phone and a USB drive Tyler had prepared, found a seat near the back while Dr. Sinclair worked the room like he owned it, laughing too loud. The performance of a man whose credit lines had been frozen for 3 weeks. Brian sat 2 tables from the stage, looking every inch the young professional he pretended to be. His father, Miguel Garcia, Sr., was at the head table, nodding along to conversations about medical innovation and community partnerships. They had no idea what was coming. The ballroom held 200 of Houston's medical elite, hospital executives, clinic owners, pharmaceutical reps. The kind of people who assumed power announced itself loudly and moved in the center of rooms. I preferred the back corner where nobody paid attention to contractors. The program started at 7:30. 3 awards, brief remarks, the usual architecture of these events. Dr. Sinclair's award was last. The MC read his name warmly, mentioned the Westheimer Clinic, the new locations, his partnerships with local school health programs. Dr. Sinclair walked to the podium smiling, accepted the crystal trophy, looked out at the room of 200 people who'd come to honor him. Everything I've built, he said, has been founded on 2 principles, service and integrity. He paused for effect. In healthcare, these can't just be words on a wall. They must guide every decision we make for our patients and our community. I sent Tyler a text. Now, the ballroom lights shifted for a presentation. The screen behind Dr. Sinclair came alive. He glanced back expecting slides about Sinclair Medical's growth metrics. What appeared was a spreadsheet, clean, organized, clearly labeled, 16 months of payroll transactions, legitimate entries in white, fraudulent diversions highlighted in red. There were a lot of red lines. The crowd murmured. Dr. Sinclair turned, saw the screen, kept smiling for 2 or 3 seconds after his brain registered something was wrong. The screen changed. 4 credit card applications, Sarah's name, forged signatures, forensic analysis notes in the corner confirming fraud. Someone near the front said, "Oh my God," quietly, like she hadn't meant to say it out loud. Dr. Sinclair reached for the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, there seems to be technical difficulties. If we could take a brief," his audio cut. Tyler's technician at the console had simply removed his microphone from the system. He tapped it, shook it, looked toward the back of the room, searching for a face he couldn't find. Security footage appeared next. The Westheimer Clinic back office, timestamp from 11 months ago. Brian at the administrative computer, accessing vendor accounts, changing routing numbers. The image was clear enough to read the monitor screen. The ballroom went dead silent. Then came the voicemail. Brian's voice filled the room through the speakers, calm and threatening. "Dr. Sinclair has a lot of relationships in Houston, Carl. Medical relationships, business relationships. It would be unfortunate if things got complicated for your construction business." Then my voice steady and polite. "I appreciate the call, Brian. I really do." 200 people in evening wear, perfectly silent. Jennifer Moore stood from her seat in the middle of the room. She'd come without my asking, decided that herself after 18 months of waiting, walked to the stage like someone who'd been practicing this moment in her head, climbed the stairs, stood at the podium. She adjusted the live microphone that wasn't the one Dr. Sinclair had been using. "My name is Jennifer Moore. I was billing administrator at Sinclair Medical Group until I found something that wasn't supposed to be found." She looked directly at Dr. Sinclair across the stage. "I lost my job for it. Lost 18 months of my career. I was told I was incompetent, that I'd mishandled patient data. She held up the thick envelope she'd been carrying for 18 months. I want everyone here to know I saved everything. Brian had started moving toward the service exit. 2 off-duty police officers I'd hired from Amanda's contacts stepped into his path. Not physically aggressive, just present and immovable. He looked at them, calculated something, and stopped. Miguel Garcia Sr. remained in his seat at the head table, staring at his plate like it might offer answers. Amanda Wilson entered through the main doors with a woman from the Harris County DA's office she'd been coordinating with for 10 days. 2 uniformed officers followed them. The crowd parted without being asked. I stood and walked toward the stage. 200 faces turned to follow me to the front of the room. I didn't hurry, didn't make drama out of it. Just walked like a man going to finish a job. I climbed the stairs and stood beside Jennifer, looked out at faces that were completely awake for the first time all evening. "I'm Carl Pierce," I said. "Some of you know my construction company. For those who don't, I'm also the owner of Lone Star Holdings, which owns every lease for every Sinclair medical location in Houston." A sound moved through the room like wind through leaves. "I've owned those properties since 2018, and I've been watching what was done with them. I watched this man use my buildings to commit wire fraud. I watched his family open credit cards in my daughter's name. I watched them fire Jennifer Moore to keep her quiet when she found their theft. I kept my voice conversational, like I was explaining a construction problem to a client. What you've seen tonight is documentation. Every record, every transaction, every forged signature. I didn't build this presentation for entertainment. I looked at Dr. Sinclair, who stood at the side of the stage still holding his award. I built it because predators count on silence, and I have zero interest in protecting predators who target my family." The officer from the DA's office reached the base of the stage stairs. Dr. Sinclair watched her approach, his face cycling through expressions before settling on something between fury and recognition that his usual exits weren't available. He was still holding the crystal trophy when she asked him to step down from the stage. In the weeks that followed, Harris County DA filed charges faster than anyone expected: wire fraud, identity theft, elder abuse, domestic assault. When you have documentation this clean, judges tend to clear their calendars. Dr. Harold Sinclair got 12 years federal. Brian got 6, reduced for cooperation after he gave up his great-grandfather's money laundering connections. Turned the case from family fraud into a federal investigation. Miguel Garcia Sr. got 4 years for his role managing the payroll scheme. Sarah stood in the courthouse hallway afterward, Sophia on her hip, looking at me with something I hadn't seen in her eyes for years. Not happiness exactly, but something steadier than that. Relief, maybe. Or just the feeling of ground that wouldn't shift under her feet. "I should have called you sooner, Dad." I took Sophia from her, settled my granddaughter on my hip the way I used to carry Sarah. "You called when you were ready. That's what matters." Jennifer Moore returned to Sinclair Medical the next month. Her first act was implementing vendor management protocols she'd been designing in her head for 18 months while she waited for justice. Dr. Garcia, the medical director, sent me a handwritten note thanking me for what she called the restoration of institutional integrity. I kept that note in my desk drawer with other things that mattered. 3 months later, I drove to Sarah's new apartment in Montrose. 2 bedrooms she'd chosen herself, 2nd floor, windows facing east, so the morning light came clean and bright. I brought groceries and a small wooden toy minus one of those painted birds that rocks back and forth when you touch it. Sophia was sitting on a quilt in the living room, surrounded by soft blocks, investigating each one with the methodical focus of a quality inspector. She looked up when she heard my voice, made a sound of pure joy, held up both arms to me. I sat on the quilt beside her, picked up one of her blocks. Sarah came from the kitchen drying her hands on a dish towel, stopped in the doorway to watch us, and smiled. Not the careful smile she'd worn for months, not holding anything back, just happy. "I've been thinking about going back to school," she said. "Nurse practitioner program at UT Health starts in the fall." I handed Sophia the block. "Sounds perfect to me." She leaned against the doorframe. "Dad, do you really think everything's going to be okay?" I watched Sophia examine my watch with scientific curiosity, reaching for it with complete confidence that what she wanted was within her grasp. That certainty children have before anyone tells them to make themselves smaller, before someone decides their trust is a resource to exploit. "We'll be better than okay," I said. "Not because the bad people are gone, but because you know something now you didn't before. You know what you can survive." That's knowledge nobody can take away. Sophia got hold of my watch. She held it up to catch the light from those east-facing windows, turning it this way and that, delighted by the way sunlight bounced off the metal. Her face was full of wonder, the unguarded wonder of someone who hasn't learned to be afraid of beautiful things yet. I thought about everything I'd built over 35 years in business. The company, the properties, the network of relationships and legal protections I'd constructed because I learned early that love without structure is just hope, and hope alone doesn't stop predators. You have to build things before you need them: foundations, documentation, contingencies. You have to do the preparation work in quiet mornings when nothing seems wrong, because the morning everything goes sideways arrives without announcement. I hadn't built any of it for myself. I'd built it for moments like this, for quilts on living room floors, for granddaughters discovering light, for daughters brave enough to reach toward better futures. Before I left that afternoon, I paused at the door. Sarah was on the floor now too, helping build block towers that Sophia would knock down immediately and find hilarious every single time. "Don't leave yet," Sarah said without looking up. So I set my keys down, took off my jacket, got back on that quilt. Tower up, tower down. Sophia's delighted shriek each time. We rebuilt it over and over, the three of us, until the afternoon light shifted across the floor and the baby grew drowsy and the room filled with that particular quiet that comes when everything is finally safe. Later, people asked what I'd do differently. Whether I regret the years of watching and waiting, building protections Sarah didn't know she had. Whether it would have been better to act sooner, to warn her more directly, to force conversations before parking garages and desperate phone calls. I've considered that question seriously. Here's what I know. You can't love someone into recognizing danger before they're ready to see it. You can only be prepared when they finally are. You can only ensure that when they reach for help, something solid is there to grab onto. Sarah starts her nurse practitioner program next month. Jennifer runs Sinclair Medical's billing department with systems that became the model for medical practices across Houston. Last Tuesday, Sophia took her first steps, -7 deliberate steps from the couch, straight to Sarah's arms, completely fearless. I watched it on video at 7 a.m., replayed it 4 times. Then I made coffee and looked out at my oak tree, blooming white and full the way it does every spring, regardless of whether the year's been gentle or brutal, whether the people watching deserve renewal or simply endured long enough to witness it. Some things return no matter what. That's not luck, that's what roots do. Listen, if this story found you today, I'm speaking directly to you now. Not about revenge, about vigilance. About paying attention to the people you love, asking the hard questions even when you're afraid of what the answers might demand from you. Ask them anyway. Ask before your daughter's standing under hospital parking garage lights with everything she owns in one bag and nowhere safe to go. Build your foundations quietly while times are good. Love your family loudly every chance you get. And when someone calls you saying, "I don't know what to do," make sure your first response is always the same. "Tell me where you are, I'm on my way."